Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here, Monday morning, and today we're doing a Monday memory from 2016, the date today, May the 15th, 2016, 7 years ago today. The Toronto Raptors were in the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Miami Heat. They were in a 7-game series that year, and they played them in the seventh game on their home court and routed them pretty much, put them out of the playoffs, and then they went on to the Eastern Conference finals against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is the shirt that the fans got for this game that I'm commemorating today. I don't know if you remember this shirt. This is a special shirt because this is the Game 7 beating Miami Heat here in Toronto in that series game. That game was a huge game for Kyle Lowry. That may have been the game that made Spoelstra say, I got to get Kyle Lowry on the Miami Heat. Oh my gosh, says Lowry. He went out there and he did some work. I'm telling you right now, he was doing it on both ends of the court. This man for the game had 11 of 20 shooting, 5 of 7 from 3, 8 of 11 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, including 3 offensive, 9 assists, 4 steals, a plus 31 with 35 points. That is a classic Kyle Lowry, really, really high level game where we see him just go crazy and get 30 plus points and just stuff the stat sheet. That was Lowry on this game, rising to the occasion in a game 7 against the Miami Heat to eliminate them and put us forward. The other 2 stars of the game in this one, DeMar DeRozan, very much stepping up also and playing really well in this one. 12 of 29 from the field, 4 of 7 from free throws, 8 rebounds, including 4 offensive, 1 assist, plus 15, 28 points for DeMar. So it was like Kyle and DeMar scored 62 points between the 63 points between the two of them. So that's fantastic. And then the third star, who was absolutely amazing in this game, and I forgot how athletic and how much he was just such a force for us in the 1 year that he was on the Raptors, Mr. Bismack Biyombo. It's so crazy how good he was that year for us, and even in the playoffs. So, Jonas got hurt and he wasn't available for this game. So Bismack started in his place, and he went out there and got a double-double, 6 of 8 from the field, 17 points with 16 rebounds, including 6 offensive rebounds for Biyombo, 2 blocks, a plus 25. He was just a force at that time. He had such a spring in his step. He had just this ability to get up there and block. He got the ability to just be a muscle man and jump in the middle of everything and get the ball somehow, some way. There were a lot of things to like about this game. Patrick Patterson also getting a double-double, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds for Patrick. He was absolutely fantastic. And then the other guy in the starting lineup, Mr. Damari Carroll, who I forgot the other day. It was kind of insulting him. It wasn't really fair or nice. He ended up getting 14 points on 4 of 5 shooting, 2 for 2 from 3-point range, 5 rebounds. He was really solid also. So it was a really good showing by the starting Raptors in this game. We didn't get a whole lot of bench production. I mean, Terrence Ross came in and drained a couple threes and got a couple steals for 8 points, but really not a whole lot from the bench. It really was DeRozan, Lowry, Biyombo, and then the other 2 guys in the starting lineup that really carried them. On the other side, it was fun because we beat Goran. Goran was in this game playing for the Miami Heat, being a little punk. In fact, in this series, I remember Goran was being a little dirty, little jerk. And this is part of the reason why we don't like him, newer Raptor fans. That if you know the history of the Raptors, Goran Dragic was the enemy, and he was a very dirty enemy, especially in this series. So seeing Goran Dragic on the other side, 0 for 5 in this game from 3, makes me smile in hindsight, knowing what happens later. Now, they were starting an interesting lineup. This is not the Miami Heat team that is currently today. In fact, there's only one player on this team that is still on the team, and you know who it is. And he's not going to be on this team for very much longer. That is Udonis Haslem. Yeah, the lineup for the Heat that day was Justice Winslow, Luol Deng, Goran Dragic, Dwayne Wade, and Joe Johnson. That is the team we beat that day in the 7th game, Game 7. After the game, Spoelstra in the press conference was saying this was one of the most competitive playoff series I've ever been involved in. It was so back and forth. The best team won. You got to give credit to the Toronto Raptors. They outplayed us, they outcompeted us, and very much was echoed by Dwayne Wade after the game also, that the best team won and that they just played harder and played better than us. So this is a great time in Raptors history because we won a 7-game series and we were advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time ever in the history of the Toronto Raptors franchise. Of course, we know we got to the Eastern Conference Final, and LeBron was, but we did win a game in that Eastern Conference Final. I remember I went to it. It was a fantastic game where Bismack was huge once again in that game also. But yeah, I like to go down memory lane on Monday, and today we're remembering what happened in Raptors history 7 years ago today. DeMar and Kyle stepping up big to eliminate the Miami Heat in a game 7 and taking care of business and getting in the next round and reaching for higher places for the Raptors and pulling us up to higher levels that would help us be stepping stones to get to the 2019 championship. So very, very good day in our history. The one where everybody got this shirt from the game, the Miami Game 7 victory. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else y'all are saying in the comments. Lots to talk about. Some NBA stuff happening yesterday. Very dramatic stuff in the NBA going on right now. And, also, guys, listen real quick. I am starting a WNBA fantasy basketball league this week. The WNBA season will start on Friday. There's 10 spots on this league. There's not very many spots. It's not a very big league like the basketball one we did this year. So it's got to be people who really want to be interested in playing WNBA fantasy and getting into knowing their players and stuff. That's why I'm doing it, is because I need to know who the players are in the WNBA fast. And the fastest way for me to learn that is to play fantasy basketball. So if you guys are interested in playing fantasy basketball with me this summer, I have a league and there's only 9 spots. So it's not like it's going to be very there's not going to be a lot of spots. So if you want a spot on this league, Duke Rocks, Champion, David Saborin, whoever is interested, Cool Cat, anybody who wants to play fantasy WNBA, I have a league set up for us. I'm the only one in there right now. There's 9 spots open. So first come, first serve. The draft will be Thursday on the Thursday Think Tank. We'll be drafting a live WNBA draft at 9:45. The draft will start. Of course, my stream will start at 9:30. So that's the time for when we will draft. So if you can make that draft time and you're interested in playing, please join. I'd like to fill this league up and get some, good players to play that are interested and invested and want to play. Mike, you get in there, please. You didn't play the fantasy basketball this past year, and you'd be great at doing this. So let's get a primer on the WNBA players by playing fantasy WNBA. Yeah, it's on ESPN site. They don't have fantasy basketball for the WNBA on Yahoo, which is my preferred fantasy basketball site. But ESPN is providing fantasy WNBA this year, and I don't think they did last year. So this may be a very new thing. And that's why I want to get on this and really learn and play this. People like Aja Wilson, Candace Parker, Becky Hammond's team. There's all kinds of great WNBA players we're going to have to learn. So let's learn the fun way, playing fantasy basketball. I put the link in the comments. So if you guys want to join right now, get in there and snatch up one of those 9 spots. There's not very many spots, and it's not an arduous long season either. That's the thing. The WNBA season is not super, super long. So it may not be as much work as you think. Not like this long grind we just did for the NBA Fantasy League. So please, I encourage anybody who's kind of interested, even if you're not that interested, try it anyway, because it may be very fun and you may be expanding your knowledge base of the WNBA. Like, you got to learn the players somehow. This is the best way I learned the NFL. It's the best way I learned the NHL. When I play fantasy sports in leagues that I don't know the players very well, I find out that I learn them very quickly when I'm playing fantasy. So please join. The link is in the chat, and I'll post it in the comments for this stream if you're watching this later and you'd like to join our Raptor Freak WNBA fantasy league. All right, let's see what's else going on. Click is here first. Good to see Click, one of the original Raptor freaks. Click's my dude. Click is like he's both ways. He can be optimistic, he can be pessimistic, but I know one thing about Click. He loves the Raptors and he really does care about them succeeding. Click saying always love revisiting the Lowry DeMar era. Yes, good times. Like burgeoning times of positivity. You knew we were building towards bigger things. We were establishing good culture. We had fun on the team. We had best friends leading the team that were so fun and entertaining to watch, interact with each other as they played and killed other teams. You could tell that brotherhood between DeMar and Kyle was very, very deep and real. And yeah, to this day, it's still, yeah, I love watching that old stuff too. In fact, watching all the old highlights from this game last night, it made me realize, wow, we were really good at this time. We made a lot of shots in this game. We were kind of on fire. You know, Lowry was on fire. We know Lowry could be kind of not on fire sometimes, but he was definitely on fire in this game. DeRozan was hitting his shot too, and he looked really, really good. He was pulling up and taking those mid ranges. He was stepping just inside the 3 point line and draining shots, and he hit really key ones and helped carry us like with the scoring along with Kyle. And then the athleticism and the bounce of Bismack Biyombo was super impressive when I rewatched the highlights from this game yesterday. And just just it was just a fun game. The building was crazy. Like the Raptors crowd for that game was absolutely fantastic. At the end of the game, when we all right, listen, the game was close. At the end of the first, we were only beating them by two. At halftime, we were beating them by six. And then at the end of the third quarter, we were beating them by eight. So it was a very winnable game for the Miami Heat to come back in this game, but we held them off. In fact, in the fourth quarter, we really turned them off like defensively. We couldn't let them do anything, and they didn't. And we really blew them out because by the end of the game, it was 116 to 89. And we were leading by only 8 at the beginning of the fourth quarter. So that was fantastic. And by the end of the game, the Toronto Raptors home crowd was yelling, "We want Cleveland. We want Cleveland." It was such a cool, awesome, amazing moment in Raptors history. That moment, especially right now with we're transitioning from the Eastern Conference as Western Conference semifinal, quarterfinals, or whatever. You know what I mean? The second round to the conference finals. This is around that time of year, and it's cool to see us when we got to the conference finals that year for the first time. And see the love and the joy and the happiness, seeing Dwayne Casey coaching us on the sideline, seeing Nick Nurse sitting on the sideline as an assistant coach, just kind of watching it all. You know, seeing people like Corey Joseph on the team at that time, running around out there, Lucas Nogueira, Jason Thompson. People forget about him. He was on our team for very briefly there. Deron Wright, of course, DeLon Wright. And Norman Powell was on the team at that time. So it was a fun little team at that time we had in Toronto that year. All right, Mike is here. Logical Raptors fanatic. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. I just looked at this entire this series recently to defend DeRozan for having a good second half. Lowry's pick and roll with Biyombo closed out the fourth. I know. I think a lot of the highlights were the pick and roll with Biyombo and Kyle, and just done so effectively. And I love seeing that little flip over the defender, and there's Biyombo grabbing it, and then he's throwing it down on them. So beautiful. That pick and roll was used very effectively by Dwayne Casey and the Raptors in that game for sure. There were a lot of plays where they were working on that one side of the lane, and it was almost like they were doing it over and over again. And Miami was not figuring out how to stop Kyle in that situation. Well, it's full circle for Miami with Kyle Lowry from that game because now the things that he did in that game to kill them in game 7, well, they're using as weapons for themselves. And he's a big, big part of why they got here. Jimmy Butler giving him huge credit for the reason why they're in the Eastern Conference Finals is that he says, we have Kyle Lowry on our team. And I love that he gives him that credit. These guys really are good friends too, and really birds of a feather. That will really help Miami as long as they don't start showing their age or Kyle doesn't come having like a really bad game where he kind of craps the bed with his shooting percentage. Miami should still do pretty well. Now it's going to be Boston. We saw yesterday Philadelphia failed. And they didn't just fail, they failed in an epic way. I'll be surprised if we see any of our Philly friends this morning. If we do, come in, that's fine. I got a cup of hot cocoa and a blanket to put around you and try and help you feel a little bit better about what happened yesterday. Holy crap. Y'all are going to fire Doc Rivers today, aren't you? I'm pretty sure Doc Rivers is probably going to get fired today. The way they flamed out and lost that game yesterday was just utterly humiliating and just ridiculous, honestly. You know, there's a quote from Rudy Gay, former Raptor, and that's why I want to quote him in particular on Twitter today. And this is it, very simple. This new NBA is terrible. This is what Rudy Gay is saying. This is a player in the league. He plays for Utah, and he is saying publicly on Twitter, this new NBA is terrible. Now, what does Rudy Gay mean when he's saying this? I think I know what he means. You know what he means? The last two teams to get eliminated from the NBA playoffs have been eliminated in routes, have been eliminated in games where they weren't even close in the game. And that's entertaining to us. Like, you know what that shows? That shows that this isn't a high competitive league. This shows that these guys aren't real professionals. They're not taking the job seriously because these are the most important games the whole entire season. We can say this about the Raptors too, seriously, with the do or die against Chicago. These people aren't showing up. They ain't doing jack shit. Like Phoenix last week against Denver, like Philadelphia yesterday against Boston. That's not, these game sevens are supposed to be super competitive. Now, the one we're covering today from 2016 was more competitive, even though it was a rout. It was competitive for 3 quarters. The fourth quarter, the Raptors absolutely routed the Miami Heat off the floor. And that says something. Now, kind of similar to what happened last night, but worse in some ways. I mean, the audacity of Joel Embiid to come into the press conference last night and say James and I can't do it all when the two of them shot the worst out of everybody in the starting lineup. Maxey was good last night. Harris was fine. But Joel's still throwing them under the bus, saying that we can't do it all, me and James. You're an idiot, Joel. And I think Philly fans are sick of you, bro. They realize that you're kind of messed up and stupid. Why would you throw your teammates on the bus when you obviously played like shit? And so did James. And why are you defending you guys for it? Really out of touch. Really, really out of touch. Now, Jason Tatum on the other side gets 51 points, breaks Steph Curry's playoff record for a game 7. And then also, the thing is, he's saying this after the game. It's a movie. He's calling what is happening with him a movie. Well, I believe you, Jason, because it's very much scripted, and movies are scripted often. And this is scripted, bro. Get over yourself, man. You almost destroyed your golden boy credit because you had such a bad game against Philly in the game 6, and you just made up for it in a flurry of shots in the fourth quarter to like save your face. You could have really had career suicide if that game had ended with you like losing and being out of the playoffs with playing so poorly in that game. It's almost like the NBA saved your bacon, bro. And like, listen, you could act like this is a movie. Oh, it's like a movie. Yeah, because it's all planned out and scripted ahead of time. That's why it's like a movie. And that's why Rudy Gay says this new NBA sucks. Yeah, we know what they're trying to do. They're trying to funnel the Celtics as far along as they can, as well as the Lakers. You know, they're all talking about, oh, the bubble couldn't have been a fluke because it's the exact same finals from the bubble. No, you know what it is? The NBA figured out how to really manipulate things in the bubble, in that sterile, neutral environment with no crowds and just the teams. Well, they really worked on manipulation with the games, and that's how they manipulated the Lakers to win a championship that summer. Well, they gotten so good at manipulating things, this parody, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, they call it parody. I call it manipulation. And they have manipulated things to exactly how they did in the bubble. It's like, oh my gosh, they actually maybe picked up that movie script out of the trash from 2020 and said, why don't we do this one again? Like, yeah, everybody's remaking movies from old movies back in the day. Let's remake the 2020 bubble movie of having the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, of having the Denver Nuggets versus the LA Lakers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Everybody's saying that just gives validity and says, oh, this is why that was not a fluke championship. Because look, those same teams are here in the same place. They're not the same teams. They're different people. That's not the same Lakers. In some ways, that's not really the same Miami Heat. And this is stupid that you're saying it like that. Oh, this is just makes it verifies that that was no fluke, the bubble. That is all bullshit. The people that are saying that just verifies that the NBA is really good at writing the same damn script by railroading things this certain way. This is WWE, bro. Don't get it twisted. In a lot of ways, the merits of these teams that go forward are very scripted and written like angles in wrestling. So yeah, okay, you guys can try and like support the bubble this way by saying, "Oh, it's happening again like this." But first of all, the teams are totally different. The same script is being written is basically what it is by the NBA referees like Scott Foster and Tony Brothers and Ed Malloy. So that's my whole view on this. Everybody's getting so overjoyed of redeeming the bubble and how it happened. That Lakers championship was real, damn it. No, it wasn't. You gave a ring to DeMarcus Cousins. How flaky is that? And then, like, hearing that, okay, you're getting way ahead of yourselves, Lakers. You're saying you're going to give rings to people like Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverly, people who were on the team earlier in the year for you. That's not how it works. I don't understand that. We didn't give a ring to Jonas Valanciunas. Why the hell do you get to give rings to guys that you cut and went and played for other teams after you? Yeah, that's a little fishy to me. Because why didn't we give a ring to Jonas Valanciunas then? Because I didn't think that teams could do that. You should just be able to give rings to everybody who was on the team all year, even if you traded their ass in the middle of the season. That's a little fishy to me that the Lakers are already deciding they're going to give rings to Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverly. Already they've decided this. They've announced it. Like there's such an audacity that they know that they're going to win that they're already going to say, yeah, we're going to give a ring to Russell if we win this year. What is this? This league is messed up and they're playing and everything. And then you got Ja Morant and his stupid shit. And oh, there's so many problems with the NBA in different ways right now. Holy crap. I can't believe what's going on right now in some ways. They really need to get better at like not script writing so closely and having blowout losses in game sevens like this. That doesn't look good. If everybody watched the game, sure, maybe it's kind of like some sort of weird porn for Celtics fans yesterday. But for the most part, it's not entertaining. And we don't like watching this kind of crap go like this. And everybody sees the MVP of the league go out like this. And we're like, this dude's not the MVP. Like, why did we give him the MVP? Everybody's like kind of got buyer's remorse on Joel Embiid being the MVP this morning. Yeah. There's a lot of stupid stuff about this. Doc Rivers probably going to get fired. James Harden's probably going to leave. Philadelphia, what happened? The process is over. It's 10 years. 10 years. And now you're back at this point in very much the same place where you started, not getting to the finals or the conference finals. That's the crazy thing. Joel ain't even been in the Eastern Conference Finals. And he's the MVP right now. It does look like Jokic should have been the MVP right now. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Nameless is here. Good morning, mia familia. Glad I can be here on time this morning. Well, good that you're on time also. Italian time zone time, Nameless. Yes, I know you're on Italian time. That's right, my familia. Yes, Randolph Phillips is here. Good morning and blessings to our beloved Raptor Freaks, a most informative gang. Thank you, Randolph, and blessings right back to you and all the rest of the Phillips clan and everybody else in your life, your friends, your family, your pets, everybody, Randolph. We're sending blessings to everybody in the Raptor Freak Nation and to Randolph and his world too. More good coaches are becoming available for us to choose from. That's right. Monty Williams. Ooh, we got to talk about some Monty Williams this week. Doc Rivers may be available later this afternoon. Is it time for Doc to head off into the sunset as a coach? Some people are saying it's time to retire, Doc. I mean, this is kind of like a pattern we're seeing with like where you hit your head on your ceiling. As far as like elimination games, you don't do too good at closing people out. You really, really don't. You have a real track record of this. You can get a 3-1, 3-2 advantage. It doesn't matter. Some things somehow, some way will crumble down and you will still find yourself out. In fact, Doc, I don't think you've ever won a game 7 in your entire history of your coaching career in the playoffs. That's something that's very true, is very close. Is like, I don't think he's won very many game sevens. If he did, they were very early on. Maybe that one year he won the championship in Boston, he won a game seven, but he hasn't won very many game sevens in his coaching career. And some people are saying it's time for him to just retire. It may be very well true. If they fire him and nobody else wants to hire him, well, that's pretty much retirement. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's keep going with the comments. Fun guy saying, I still remember this series in the Bucks series like it was yesterday, the Norman Powell era. Yes. Nameless. Yes, that was a fun year that year. Those years with DeMar and Kyle, even though they were really, really good regular seasons, sometimes in the playoffs, these guys would be too tired because they were overplayed. That was really kind of the early start of like, let's load manage our guys or not overuse them in the season, because Casey was using DeMar and Kyle so much in some of those years. We get to the playoffs and they'd be gassed and they wouldn't have anything in the tank. So we learned as a franchise, okay, let's limit our guys and kind of save them as the year goes on and kind of use other guys and mix minutes in. I thought that was a lesson that the Raptors coaching staff had learned while Casey was still our coach, because we did see an improvement in this area than the years after the years where they were absolutely overplayed. And one of those years where we did better with managing them during the season was this very season we're covering today, 2016. We found a very healthy Kyle and DeMar in the playoffs, and that fueled our drive to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's something that Nick should have learned as an assistant coach, sitting there watching Casey through those years of overusing DeMar and Kyle. That he shouldn't have been doing that with our guys this past year or in the years recently. That, you got to distribute those minutes and get them all over the place. Now in this game, it's not a very good example because Casey really did go starter heavy in this win over Miami in game seven. But that's something you should have known, Nick, that our guys are way more effective when they're rested and in good shape at the start of the playoffs, like Kyle and DeMar were that year. So yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And it was so fun to watch it and seeing the energy in the building on the highlights from that game. It's just so fun. If you want to watch this highlight reel, watch it. 5/15, 2016, Raptors and Heat. Find it on YouTube. They still got all the clips up. And I'm looking at the box score on ESPN, so you can all reminisce about this today if you feel like it. And just get some of those good feelings about Raptors and their culture when it was really, really good. And hopefully we can find our way back to that very soon. There's some interesting stuff going on with the Raptors. We'll do that. Let's do that. Let's do the social media check with our Raptors. Of course, yesterday being Mother's Day, a lot of mothers being put on blast with our Raptors on Instagram. First of all, we got Thad Young celebrating Shanika, saying that, she's going to be the shortest in the house soon because the younger son is growing fast. And he may be taller than Shanika Young very soon. But it's nice to see Thad and the Youngs celebrating Mother's Day. She's a cool lady. Like, honestly, I follow her on Twitter, and she's really smart, and she really has some interesting things she cares about. And I really love the Young family. If they're not a part of the Raptors anymore, they'll still be family forever, honestly. I know that this year's been a little kind of like uncomfortable and a little weird because of like things near the end of the season. But I think that please don't be a stranger to the Raptors organization. We do really love you. And we really do appreciate a lot of your time here and what you did with the Raptors, especially that crossover on Joel when you made him fall on his face. That was amazing, man. So, listen, you're always going to be family, even if you're not on our team next year. And maybe you're kind of weird about it. I know you've been on a lot of teams and you've been on a lot of fan nations but don't forget your Raptors family. You're always welcome in Canada, no matter how things went here. Chris Boucher posting the clip of his mother and him from the Uninterrupted special on him, the documentary. That was a very interesting documentary, this stuff with his mom. His mom didn't want to be on camera, and he really had to talk her into appearing on it. And, he's putting her on blast, of course, for her for Mother's Day yesterday. Coloco is celebrating the Liga 2023 champions, Barca. I guess that's the soccer champions over in Europe. So Coloco's being a soccer fan himself. And then we got Pascal at home with his mom cooking in the kitchen here in Toronto, and he's laughing and enjoying his time with his mother. We know that Pascal is super close with his mother. It's like so close. And Mother's Day is like any other day for him. He probably celebrates his mom just like his Mother's Days all the time, because he's always saying he's doing it for you, doing it for his dad, doing it for his mom. So Mother's Day is just another day for Siakam at his house. I'm sure he treats her the same way every day, and it's so nice. And then we see Scotty down in Florida. He's in the driveway with his family, and we see Scotty's mom. She's so happy and proud of him. He's wearing a cool Coca-Cola shirt, and he has given his mother for Mother's Day a brand new Jeep. That's right, Scotty, you go. What a great son. We have these great sons on our team. They're just showing so much love to their moms yesterday. So heartwarming to see Scotty with the big red bow on a Jeep for his mom. And she looks so happy. She looks very happy to get that Jeep. I'm not going to lie. It's really cool. It's like, Scotty, you go, being a good son like that, giving your mom a Jeep on Mother's Day. And then we got Ron Harper Jr. He is, I was surprised he wasn't at the WNBA game, like I said, because we had the Rutgers player playing in that game, and I know he's cool, and he really enjoys his teammates on all teams at Rutgers. He's very much a very dedicated Rutgers kind of guy. Okay, Delano's posting a picture of him at the WNBA game, and his caption says, "Roll with me for a day, and I can show you just how real I get it." 100%. You go, Delano Banton. So happy to see you, Toronto's own, celebrating the WNBA game and representing and being there. This means a lot. I know it meant a lot to the WNBA commissioner and the players that so many NBA representatives showed up and were appearing at the game. Sometimes they get a couple of them, but everybody just showed up. I think that Delano wanted to just be there. He's like, you know what, this is cool, and I want to be here. So he made sure he was there. Jeff Doughton, same thing. Why is Jeff there? Jeff just wants to be there to see it. He's a hoop head. He loves watching hoops. You go watch the WNBA, first game in Canada, be a part of history. Serge Ibaka, Christian Coloco, Lou Dort. Just really good to see all those guys show up on Saturday and supporting the WNBA in Canada game. Fred VanVleet putting on blast his wife, Shantae. Happy Mother's Day. Looks like she is in a nice island location with crystal blue beaches behind her and just a really classy space. Really nice to see that. And then, of course, he has a picture of Sue Danforth, his mother, with Fred Jr. at one of the games. Now, I will say something that I don't like about these posts is he's not really putting the Raptors on blast in any kind of way in these pictures. I can tell. This is a game at the Raptors, but we don't see any kind of Raptors paraphernalia. But, Fred, I know you're in a weird spot right now. You got to figure out your future. And it may not be with us. I mean, I'm really starting to feel like this may be true. Some of the rumors that people are saying that Fred may be in a Phoenix Suns jersey with Nick Nurse coaching him there next year. I hate that. I hate that so much. But if we're going to have a new team and we're going to be changing things around a little bit, so be it. It is what it is. I want Fred to stay. I want him to be on this team so bad next year. But in some ways, I'm seeing the writing on the wall already. And I think he may be on his way, much to the happiness of the Fred haters. They may get what they want this summer. That's too bad. I think it's going to be hard for us to recover if we do let go of Fred this summer. And I'm not approving of it. I don't think it's a good move at all. I think we need to try and keep him. So, Masai, please make this work with Fred. And Fred, please work with us on this. Don't really kind of stick it to us or something like that. But if it is the way it is, and it has to be the way it has to be, as long as we get a better result from our team next year, I'll be happy. So one way or another, we got to figure it out. If Jeff Doughton Jr. is our starting point guard next year, or Scotty Barnes, hey, it is what it is. But I still want it to be Fred. I really do. Deep in my heart, I'm still saying that. All right, let's keep going. Fiercey's saying, good morning, fam. Any way we can watch that game again? I wonder how. I don't know if you can watch the whole entire thing, but there's a lot of highlights of it. You can watch like a 10-minute highlight clip, which has all the cherry-picked best plays from it. So you can see all that. There's one moment where Bismack gets almost in a fight, and that is still in the highlight clip. It's crazy. I forget what the guy's name is, McRoberts or something. Josh McRoberts was a big goon for the Heat at that time. And there was a little bit of a swinging around of arms a little bit that was a little dirty. And Bismack got in his face at that moment and was ready to flex on him. So Fiercey, like I said, if you go on YouTube and you just put in the date with the Raptors and Heat in there, you will find the all kinds of stuff. You'll find the interviews after the game, and you'll find the highlights. and specifically a Kyle Lowry highlight reel of that game. It's fun to go back and revisit it. This is what I said 7 years ago today. So that's why we're celebrating. It's the date of today, 7 years ago. So game 7 victory over the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Or yeah, Eastern Conference semifinals. That's right. All right, let's see. G saying, I have revisited my coaching list, and you're right. Monty would be a great coach for the Raptors. Sergio, Becky, Monty, and Jerry. All right, so G's changing his around a little bit. He did have Sergio at first before. I remember that from this weekend. But now Monty Williams is in the mix. I'm still got Budenholzer on my list too. But those may be my top 5 candidates. Yours with Budenholzer. Sergio, Becky, Monty, Jerry, and Mike Budenholzer. Those are the 5 best candidates, I think, for the Toronto Raptors head coaching vacancy right now. And we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens here. MSJ saying, very cool to see Kyle doing well this year, too. He is the most important player in Raptors history. One day hoping he might try coaching here in Toronto. That would be fun. That would be full circle. I don't know if it's likely, though. I don't know if it's likely. Once again, I question whether Kyle Lowry even wants to go into coaching. Seriously, he has other endeavors that he's really into and stuff. Like his golf bag company is something really big. He's very much into golfing, and his golf bag company is something that he really is like getting into and apparel kind of stuff. And it seems like I don't know. He may be a good coach while he's playing, but I don't know if he wants to do it full time and all the work and travel and dealing with knuckleheads. And it seems like this league is getting more knuckleheaded in some ways. I mean, Ja Morant, come on. Like he epitomizes the way this league is thinking right now. Yeah, we can see how they're knuckleheads. Yeah. Yeah. So please join my fantasy WNBA league, guys. I only have 10 teams in it. I'm one of them. So there's only 9 spots open. So if you want to play fantasy and WNBA this summer, I found a league. I made it. And we can get some good competition in there and learn about the league at the same time. Trevor's here. Good to see Trevor J. As always, one of the good Raptor freaks checking in. Always has good positive, good comments. Love you, Trevor. Let's see what you're saying. Philadelphia is trash. Yes, Trevor, go. Last night, no show from Joel, no show from James. What a horrible game from both of them. Like, what is this product? You putting this game on at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday. Everybody can watch it. And, well, they get to watch this piece of crap? Seriously, who enjoyed that other than the Celtics? Nobody else enjoyed watching that crap. And we see the culmination of Floppy Joe and Big James. Big Game James can be Houston James when it's early on, but we know James Harden fades away in the playoffs as time goes on and doesn't show up more and more as time goes on. I'm sure Sixers Nation, much like Suns Nation, much like our nation, much like Bucks Nation, are searching for answers today. And they're going to be searching for scapegoats too. And I bet you Doc Rivers will be number 1. And, James Harden is not probably going to be in the Sixers next year. I've heard so many rumors about him going back to Houston. I've heard rumors about him going to Atlanta. I've heard rumors about him going every which way, but not staying in Philly this summer. Now, Joel, there's another rumor about him saying that he really wants to play for the Heat, that he's actually on the down low going to try and sabotage his time in Philadelphia so that he can go down there and try and play with Jimmy Butler in Miami. It's crazy. And Miami fans are predicting that they're going to trade Tyler Hero for Joel Embiid very soon. Isn't that crazy? These Miami fans are so arrogant and crazy. They think that they're going to get Joel Embiid from Philadelphia for just Tyler Hero. That's crazy talk, Miami fans. But I know that this is probably true. That Joel probably does want to play for Miami. And, Philly fans are probably like, you know what? We're sick of your garbage. You can go ahead and go to Miami. There may be a little bit of that going on right now because this is what I'm hearing. The murmurs are that Joel wants to be in Miami. It's ridiculous. For how long you've been around that franchise in Philadelphia and everything that's happened there, that this is how you're going to treat that fan nation and all the garbage they went through with you, Joel, that you're ready to up and go to Miami. That is so messed up. So messed up. Infamous saying, salute. This is a great idea. Awesome. All right, Infamous. I love it. I don't know if it's my WNBA idea or whatever it is, but check it out and get in there and let's play. I don't know any of the players hardly at all, so we're all in the same boat. If you know the WNBA, you have an advantage. So come and play. It'll be fun. I was looking at some of the players last night. I was like, oh, I know this girl. I remember her from college. I remember this woman. She's really good. And now I'm like, oh, yeah, it's coming back together. There's Anthony Parker's sister, Candace. She's still playing, and she's like almost 40. There's some of these players that have been around forever. Diana Taurasi, all these kind of old head at WNBA players. And I'm like, oh yeah, this player's still playing? Holy cow. You know, so it's a very simple league. It's going to be way simpler than the one we did for the NBA this year. In fact, this one isn't rotisserie. We're going to be doing head-to-head matchups. So it'll be you're against one other team, and you just got to beat them for the week, and your record will show that. And there's not as many categories either. So this is a very simplified fantasy league for this WNBA fantasy that I'm doing this summer. Not too many teams, not too many stat categories, and it's head-to-head, not rotisserie. So it's a little bit different than what we did in the Yahoo Raptor Freak Raptor Freak NBA Fantasy League. So yeah, Wayne Strainer's saying, "Big up, Raptors Freak. I'm feeling great seeing the back of the big flopper." Miami Heat with Kyle is repping for us, and the matchup against the Celtics is going to be classic, old versus young. Yeah, baby. Well, I really want somebody to put that stake through the heart of the Celtics and just put them out. You had these chances, Philadelphia, and you failed. I hate this. I wanted to wear some Sixers gear on this channel, and you guys just didn't come through. It's too bad. Well, now it's on Miami to try and stop them at this next level. Some people are trying to say that everything's going to play out like in the bubble, and it's just going to be like that. Well, that means Miami will beat Boston, and I'm okay with that. Now, I want Denver to beat Lakers, though. Yeah, I want you to win, Jokic. You got to put LeBron out. That's like you get this Lakers and Celtics is like 50-50 chance of coming in at this point or not. I guess it's like 25% because both of them got to make it. But yeah, we need to put the Celtics and the Lakers out in the conference finals. Neither one of them needs to be getting the NBA finals. Seriously. I want to see Miami versus Denver as much as possible. If it's not Miami versus Denver, I want it to be Miami versus the Lakers and Miami wins, or I want it to be Denver versus the Nuggets and Denver wins. I don't want to see no Celtics or Lakers winning nothing this year because then I'll know those NBA script writers. They're going to get like a Oscar nomination for script writing, for how they write the script for the whole season. And the referees are the actors who make sure that the plays happen the way that they want. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Leslie's here. Good to see Leslie Hart. Good morning, freaks. I agree, Trevor J. I had a feeling that the Celtics were going to put Philly to bed. Oh, yeah. I mean, before the game, I was like, your goose is cooked. I was telling Let Me Cook yesterday, Philly fan coming in to check in with us yesterday in the morning before the game. I was like, dude, you guys should have won the game in game 6. You needed to win that one. You did not need to be going back to Boston for game 7 yesterday, that you were going to be in trouble. And that is very much what happened. Now, the referees probably didn't have to help the Celtics as much because they were actually not playing very well. The Sixers, they just did it to themselves. They didn't even need I mean, I could look at the free throw discrepancy. Let me see how bad it was. They're actually even with free throws. So it really was that the Sixers just really shot horrible. They shot 37% in an elimination game 7 game. That's absolutely dreadful. Really, really bad stuff. The third quarter outscored 33-10. So they rolled over and died in the second half. Really, really bad game for the Sixers. And, I'm telling you, Doc Rivers may be fired by the end of today. It really does seem like that's a very high chance. Let's see. Fiercey saying Doc Rivers himself will need to consult a doctor. Fiercey, you can get a dunk for that. You're getting a dunk for that one. We haven't had any dunks recently. Fiercey getting her second dunk ever for that one because it's very simple but elegant to me. That's an elegant joke. Doc Rivers going to need a doctor because it is very apropos to the events of the last 24 hours. Jokes aside, abysmal performance by the MVP and one of the 75-year performers or whatever it is. There will be a shakeup soon. Yeah. Well, they're both on that list. Joel's on that list too. I don't necessarily agree with that. It's kind of crazy. There's 75 players in the league that have been greater than Joel Embiid. Trust me. Oh my gosh. And Harden, yeah, that's another one. I didn't totally agree with Harden even being on that list. Now I know he's so important and offensive and he has such a body of work and certain things that he averaged at certain times, but he hasn't won. And in some ways, if you want to make the NBA's greatest 75, you should make it full of winners and people that did something, even if it's like AC Green and Kurt Rambis or those kind of guys, because in some ways those guys were greater than Joel Embiid, even though they were role players off the bench. So that's what I'm saying. It's like greatness is in winning and being great and having a class to yourself and carrying yourself a certain way. And I think this NBA 75 greatest, it doesn't really reflect the greatest players, the greatest 75 players throughout the whole 75 years of the NBA's history. That you could have switched some of the newer players out that haven't really won anything. They're in some ways I don't respect because of holes in their game with some of the older players we've forgotten and didn't mention in some ways. Like I could argue that Vince Carter should be one of the greatest 75, even though I don't like Vince Carter because he did great things. He did an amazing thing with the dunk competition. He did a great thing by igniting a passion for basketball in this country of Canada. So in some ways, you could say that Vince Carter is great, even though he didn't win anything. He had a huge impact. And he made a difference in his career with his dunking and what he did. He's known as one of the greatest dunkers of all time, if not the greatest. That he should have been on the 75. I would argue that over some of the more recent guys that they put on there. That I was like, why the hell is he on the top 75? Anthony Davis? Seriously? This dude has been here half the time and he really won a crappy championship with the Lakers in the bubble. And like, I don't respect anything about him in his career. Being injured, not there half the time. Why is he one of the 75 greatest? That doesn't make any sense to me. Put Vince Carter on the list. So, yeah, this 75 stuff is stupid. G saying Ben Simmons even trolled his old team. I know. See, this is the pettiness. This is stupid. It's not like you look good, Ben, for doing that. Seriously. It's kind of like you guys just have a really crappy like team or like not. It's not. I'm not going to diss the Philly team like that. I'm going to say this. It's almost like you guys have like been beating up and destroying whatever team that you were on, the Sixers. And you know the fans are like they held captive and hostage in the middle of you guys just being awful to each other. You know, when you trolled Ben when he left, and now Ben's trolling y'all back. It's like you're peeing on a fire or something like that. It's like really gross and dumb. It's like seriously, like Ben Simmons, what do you have to back up you trolling them back? Seriously, I think it's like, well, everybody who thinks Ben Simmons is funny for doing that, well, what does he back this up? Where is this? Like, why does he have license to do that back to them? He was a failure. He's been a failure. Like, where is his ability to have like, oh yeah, we're gonna listen to you and say, oh yeah, you're trolling them? No, dude, you haven't still not showed up. So it's like, where? What is this? What is this? Why can guys who do nothing troll teams when they really have nowhere to say anything? If you ask me, yeah, that's what I'm saying about that. Mike's saying I went 3-1 in picks. I got the Golden State versus Lakers series wrong. The role players turned out more than I expected. You thought the Warriors were going to beat the Lakers. Yeah, I thought so too. Well, the Warriors were a failure and they weren't together in the right ways. They had similar problems to what we had, and that's part of what was happening. I mean, that Jordan Poole and Draymond rift was probably very much there the whole season. They were bullshit saying that everything was fine. And it could have been very similar to a rift on our team going on the whole entire season. And there's a certain connectiveness on the team that's not exactly right because of that kind of stuff. MSJ saying Doc Rivers, you would think he is fired for sure. There was one huge egg laid yesterday by the Sixers. Just tell me as well, Embiid will never win a chip, and it is not this year's MVP. Jokic is much better. I can't disagree with that. They're so even in certain ways, and the way people went about choosing Joel to be the MVP this year was kind of like, well, he kind of deserves it because he's been so close. And so, in some ways, the merits of how he won it is kind of like, well, we kind of feel like we need to give it to him because it's been so close. And he just barely didn't get it. And some people didn't agree with that. It's like just because it's that way doesn't mean you just give him the award. It should be maybe Jokic's for a third time in a row because in some ways he is great enough to do that. In some ways, I'm seeing more and more, especially right now, the way he's being successful in the playoffs. That in some ways he does deserve being a three-time MVP this year because statistically he is, and he's actually having one of his best playoffs ever. So in hindsight, it's 2020. We should have picked him as the MVP at this point. Some people are saying maybe they shouldn't pick the MVP so early. Maybe we need to pick it a little bit later on. But they want to have that difference between the regular season MVP and the finals MVP. And if it gets too close to the end, it's going to seem like, oh, the same person should be both. And I think that's part of the reason why. But man, you can really screw things up and have a lot of pressure on you if you're the MVP like Joel was, and you do something like yesterday. Ooh, really, really fraudulent MVP, it looks like. is what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm a fun guy saying, man, do I miss the old Scotiabank Arena crowds? Our crowds haven't been the same since COVID hit and we went to Tampa. That's actually a very astute observation, fun guy. Because when you said that, it rang so true, and I haven't really ever thought about it from that perspective. That in some ways our crowd changed when we came back from COVID. Maybe there were more people coming because there were different people that were more into the Raptors. Maybe some of the people that didn't want to ride with us during the COVID year in Tampa were kind of like they shook off, and we got these. They're more newer fans in some ways. I don't know what it is. I think our crowd is still really, really good. It's just that you're right. Watching that highlight from that game 7, we were something else. That was a completely different animal. And I can see from watching the highlights of that Miami versus Toronto game 7 that we won 7 years ago today, that why DeMar and Kyle say that our crowd is so credible and that they love Toronto in the city. Like that's what they were saying after the game was like DeMar saying this city and this country deserves us going to the Eastern Conference Finals. He was such a real one, and we did him wrong. And I hate that. But who knows? He's a free agent this summer. Maybe DeMar's back on our team next year. Who knows? Crazy things can happen. Crazy things can happen. But yeah, I get what I kind of get what you're saying. There is a little bit of a difference in the crowd since we returned from Tampa season. I agree with this. I think you're right, fun guy. I don't know how to exactly describe it, but it's a feeling. It's a weird thing. Infamous is saying, let me see what Infamous said. Jumped ahead a little bit. Infamous is saying there's going to be a lot of turmoil this offseason. There are going to be a lot of players available for us. Yeah, there's already a ton of turmoil. This league is getting crazy. Like, seriously, it's a little hair trigger, the firing of all these coaches recently. I know we're a part of it, but oh man, this is really making things kind of in disarray. The whole thing with the player shakeup with free agency in the summer and big names going different places is one thing. But when you shake up high level coaches that are coaching teams like that, you shake up players in the offseason, this could be a whole other level of weird like shakeup, especially since our former coach is involved in this and we are getting a new coach also. This could be partly like the player shakeup in free agency in the offseason with the coaching shakeup. So it's going to be on like 2 levels this year. That's the kind of the weird thing about it is that this may be on 2 levels, the coaches level of shakeup around the league and then the players shakeup as normal. So, coaches changing around aren't usually big names or high percentage winners like Budenholzer, Nick, and Monty Williams. So this is very uncommon. This is not a normal summer with the coaches and the turnover that's already happened so far. It's going to be very interesting. Very much a lot happening this offseason with the turmoil for sure. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Cool Cat in the house. Somebody said this weekend we should name the WNBA team the Toronto Cool Cats. And I was like, that actually does sound pretty damn good. Make it the saber-tooth tiger logo. Toronto Cool Cats. Yeah, I would love that. Cool Cat, please join my WNBA fantasy league that I started on ESPN's website. The league starts this week. We're going to do the draft on Thursday on the Thursday Think Tank at 9:45. So please join the WNBA Fantasy Raptor Freak Fantasy League starting up this Friday when the league starts their regular season on Friday night. So yeah, everybody who's interested, please join. There's a link in this chat, and I'll have one in the comments after the stream also. Monique is here. Good to see Superfan Monique Lawrence. Good morning, everyone. Way to go, Scotty. Eventually, it was going to happen. Yeah, good job for Scotty giving that car to his mom. I think he gave her a house already, like on the first year, and now he's giving her a new Jeep. So yeah, it's nice to see him loving his mom, and she's so happy and smiling. You can tell that they have a really good relationship. As Scotty said in his comments about his mother sacrificed a lot to get him to where he is right now, and that he appreciates it. And that's a good son. That's somebody who really does understand this. Listen, Scotty's a weird one. In some ways, I wonder about him, but I really do feel like he's just a really good kid all around. And I just want him to just succeed and kick butt and just keep going towards the good stuff, Scott. Seriously, you got a good head on your shoulders and you know what you're doing in a lot of ways, but you do need to still follow direction from the old heads too. But man, what a great move yesterday for your mom. That was awesome. Fiercely saying, so glad Kyle is getting the credit deserved. Yeah, it's nice to see because he's gone through this fire of like being put down here by our own fans and by other people, not giving him any credit, saying all this. And then when he became a champion with us in 2019, that was huge. And now showing his continued legacy of the way he plays with Miami right now, that's fantastic. If he wins a second championship this year, I'll be so proud of him. Seriously. And he will be a big part of the reason why Miami wins a championship if they are able to get through and get that to this year. Seriously, he will be a huge part of it. I know Jimmy will probably get the MVP, but everybody will know that Kyle was a huge part of the reason why if Miami wins the championship this year. And I'd be all about that. In some ways, I'm kind of like really need the Miami Heat to beat the Boston Celtics real bad. Real bad starting on Wednesday. Yeah, no games today, so no ref report, no nothing like that. We're just talking Raptors and reminiscing about this Miami Toronto game 7 from 7 years ago today. Leslie's saying, don't trust the process. It's over. It's over. It's over. Pretty sure Doc will be fired and James will be gone. Will they just blow the whole thing up? That's some of the speculation right now. You know, some people are thirsting for Tyrese Maxey in a Raptors jersey right now. They see an opening and they're like, well, if they're going to start blowing things up and things are going to go a little weird in Philadelphia, maybe there's other players that are available. And, you know, Toronto's like, maybe Maxey, come to Toronto. He has that time with the Clorox Rising Stars skills challenge with Scotty Barnes where he hugged him. He's like, don't hug me. I'm going to hug you. I don't care. I'm hugging you. Scotty hugged me. You know, maybe there'd be some fun with Maxey and Scotty together. I'm sorry. We want to poach your best player, Philadelphia, if you're going into disarray this offseason. Yeah, this is interesting. I don't know what's going to happen with Philadelphia, but a lot of people are saying this process era is kind of over because of what happened last night. In fact, some people were saying things like this yesterday. So one person said, Pascal Pro Propaganda said on Twitter, maybe Joel needs to get his arms up like a plane, and that way he can make it up and down the court faster than he is right now. Because there was a certain point in the second half where it looked like Joel was not moving up and down the court, and we know about these times with him. See, you want to play him 40 minutes, but he can't physically. He gets tired out. So that was one of the mean jokes that somebody made towards him. Pascal Propaganda said, "Oh, maybe if you put your arms up, you can fly down the court and make it down the court a little quicker, you know, because you're looking so laggy and slow because you're tired." And that's kind of what Joel looked like in the second half yesterday. So, and then that's what people are saying, that the process is up, that this is like it felt like somebody said that it felt like the way that they lost yesterday, it feels like this is the end of some sort of era in Philadelphia. Like it was one of those kind of losses. Like this is like, this is bad. This is kind of like signaling that things are going to change huge, and that this period of time with them is not going to, like, this was their shot. This was Philly's year to do this, and it got to this point, and this is how it ended like this. They feel just like my Milwaukee fans feel like. They feel just like we did in the play-in. You know, it's kind of like, this is where we're at. This is such a letdown at this point. And they had so much promise. I mean, think about the whole entire year. Think about how much of a juggernaut Philly was all season. And now to get to this point like this, I hate this for them. Honestly, I really did want them to win yesterday. I hate this for them. I wanted the Celtics to be feeling this today, not the Sixers. I really didn't want the Sixers to be feeling this. I wanted the Celtics to be feeling this today. Let's keep going. La 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 la. And Cool Cat saying Embiid should be embarrassed. No physical fitness, no fight in the game. I know, that's what I'm saying. He's the MVP, and this dude is tired in the middle of the third quarter. He's absolutely gassed. And like, what are you gonna do, Doc? He's your most important player. He's one of your aces up your sleeve to like win when you can't even play him because he's too tired out. Man, what a tough conundrum to be in. G saying that this new NBA has a lot of quitters. That's what I'm wondering too. Like, seriously, it used to be back in the day, the competitiveness of making the league and staying the league really scared the hell out of guys, and really they busted their ass. They knew nothing was granted to them. Maybe too much is granted to them at this point. There's too much like for sure contracts. There's too much like clout with the top players where they can say, "Well, I don't want to practice right now," or I don't need to show up. I don't feel well. My hand doesn't feel well. I'm not coming to the game. There's maybe too much of that, and taking too much for granted. that they need to like start realizing, you're a very special case if you're the one of the very few that get to play in this league, and you need to take this more seriously. Maybe it's on the fault of the managers, the general managers and the owners for selecting guys and coddling them and making them somebody who they aren't before they are that. And there's a problem with that. That maybe these people need to be tough and say, I don't care how talented you are, John Morant. You're never playing the NBA again because of what you did this Saturday. Seriously, they may need to hardline and make some examples of some of the worst examples of quitters or toxic or just the bad attitude or the wrong kind of values that NBA players should have. Make this is an example. They did that with like guys I said yesterday, Roy Tarpley, an example, Michael Ray Richardson, an example, Ron Artest, an example in different ways for things that they did. Well, maybe they need to make some more examples, like make an example of Ben Simmons, make an example of John Morant, and show them that this is not, you just get this and you got it because you're so talented and we'll say yes to you, whatever you do. No, that if you want to be a proper NBA pro, there's some rules and ways that we run this league. And if you're not conforming to them, then you can't be in this league. I'm sorry. Because that's part of the decay in this league is that these guys are nonchalant. They take it for granted. They don't really feel like, they have to prove anything once they make the league. In some ways, the whole thing of the whole mechanism is just make the league, bro. Get that bag. Woo! I made the league. I'm in the league. Woo! I made that bag. All right. Wow. I feel so great. Now, what are you going to do? I'm going to collect my checks. Yeah. I'm going to collect my checks. Or you're going to try and win? Yeah, I'd like to win. I love to win. Okay, but is that important to you? No, I just want my money. I mean, is that where we're at in the NBA? Seriously, what are the motivations of these kids? Somebody said recently that half the NBA players don't really love basketball or don't really want to play. They just want to collect money. And that's a problem. That's a very much a problem. And you can tell in the competition, you can tell in the way teams roll over and die in routes like recently. You can tell with the people who don't show up chronically all the time. You can tell with how unserious John Morant's taking his career right now. So, yeah, there's a problem in the NBA with its culture and the young players taking things for granted. So maybe the system needs to be changed. Maybe there needs to be better incentives. Maybe y'all need to stop anointing golden boys ahead of their time when they ain't done nothing to prove it. Maybe you need to start giving anointing guys after they've done things like the old NBA did. Instead of saying, oh, this guy's a hero, Zion Williamson, he's great. He's going to be so fantastic. And he could be, but he's been hurt. You jumped the gun on making him a superstar. He's got to come and prove it and put the time in and put the energy and put it effort before you put him in commercials and make him a golden boy and a marketing thing. Seriously, y'all are getting ahead of yourself and you're picking the wrong people too. You need to go find the ones that really deserve it. Guys like that would be like the Glenn Rice of this era. Glenn Rice got shine because he worked hard and he busted his ass and he played really, really good. And that's how he got shine in the NBA. He wasn't exactly like a flashy superstar, but they had to give him kudos because he played at a certain level with the Charlotte Hornets, the Miami Heat, and different places that he played. Mitch Richmond, another one. Did you give Mitch Richmond golden boy status after his rookie year in Golden State? No, you didn't. You had to see him earn it over years of scoring at a high level and working hard. And then boom, he became that. That's what I'm saying. Y'all are anointing people too early and they didn't earn it and they're coasting on it and they don't have to work any harder because they've already got it all. I'm a champion. I got my contract. I'm getting put on blast by the NBA as one of their future stars. Oh, I feel so good. Well, what the fuck? You need to keep working and keep proving it. In some ways, don't just give it to them. They have to come and take it. And you're granting too much to them is what I'm saying right now. Let's see. Mike is saying, I'm definitely rooting for the Heat versus Nuggets final. Murray versus Butler, Bam versus Jokic. Yeah, that's fun. I want Jamal Murray to burn the Lakers so bad. I want him to kill them, put that blue arrow on them. And yeah, get some get back for that bubble series. Seriously. I don't like how y'all lost to the Lakers and the Lakers got the finals in that series then. Y'all need to remember what happened in 2020 Get some revenge, Denver Nuggets. Seriously. I don't like how cocky the Lakers nation and the Celtics nation are all of a sudden. Not to mention Miami Heat nation is pretty cocky right now, too. But that's what I'm saying. I have much more respect for the Denver Nuggets nation out of all of them right now. And I want to see y'all smiling and happy at the end of everything. Yeah, Nuggets are my favorite to pick to win it all, and the Miami Heat are second. I don't like Miami winning another one in some ways. I only want them to win it for Kyle. But otherwise, I'm like, I don't like anybody else winning it. Well, Jimmy too. Jimmy's fine, or Bam. I don't mind Bam winning it too. But I don't want the fans to feel good. If we could just give the championship to Kyle by himself, that'd be fun. All right, let's see. G saying Tatum is good, but he is also very lucky to have Brown and the Celtics role players are great. Yes. And yes, he's a good example of what I'm talking about. They anointed him way too early, and in some ways, he's had to grow into the shoes to fill. And he's been successful to a degree at like really earning it and making it show. But they anointed him way too early as one of the faces and superstars of the league and pushing him in the marketing too much. At this point, yeah, he probably does deserve it. And he's worked hard and he's gotten there. But also, once again, we see he disappears just like other guys in big games at times. It doesn't show up. Not yesterday, though. That's for sure. He definitely, I have a feeling that Tatum saw what happened in the last game. He was so scared from like almost shitting the bed and not doing anything and having his team eliminated the way they might have been the other day that he picked it up in the fourth quarter and he didn't stop. He said, you know what? I'm going to come right in this game because I cannot shoot so bad like I did in game 6 because I will look, they're judging me and make it, I'll be like looking, I could ruin my career with my reputation if I flame out like this and the Celtics lose. In some ways, the league knew that too, and they were scared of that. They don't want to lose him as a commodity. He's very important that he's successful because in some ways, if he's a failure, that really messes up their marketing schemes. Let's just put it that way. So, all right, let's keep going. Mike is saying I went on about the changes to expose casuals for thinking the bubble verification. Plus, this Russ getting a ring is the dumbest thing. I know it's so stupid. Like, is the Lakers just do this? They're saying anybody who played on our team this year, you're going to get a ring. Like they're saying that DeMarcus Cousins got a ring for the bubble, and I don't totally agree with that. I thought he was cut, and he wasn't even on the team at that time. I don't know. It really waters it down. It doesn't make it as special if you're going to go and give Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverly rings for their roles on the Lakers this year if they win. Yeah, it is ridiculous. Yeah, and the thing about the bubble, seriously, they had a controlled environment where it was very much the same venue. There's no crowd, and the refs could really kind of be on top of things with no distractions and no people breathing down their necks. They were on video screens. How the hell are they going to yell at them? Or are they going to feel that energy from them that they need to be pressured to make certain calls by the home crowd? Well, there's none of that. And in some ways, it was an experiment, the bubble. And they're taking some of the things they learned from the bubble and they're applying them to the league now. And that's part of the reason why we have this parity. That's part of the reason why we have such confusion. That's part of the reason why the refs are like doing things a certain way. There's all kinds of things that have spawned from the bubble experiment. And I'm not going to say they're good for the league. I'm really not. But yeah, anybody who thinks that this validates the bubble series and the bubble championship for the Lakers just because of the same 4 teams are in the finals right now, that's stupid. That's the dumbest logic I've ever heard. If anything, it shows that the NBA favors certain teams to get them further in the playoffs in certain ways by using the referees. They gatekeep and they open the gate for certain franchises to come through, and the other ones they shut the door on them. That's how I look at it. So you go ahead and think this validates how they did in the bubble. I'll say that they're very good at reading the same script and reusing it like a rerun. How about that? Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Monique saying good choice today for the Monday memory, Lex. I know. I was like doing the research on what happened on May the 15th in Raptors history. I'm like, ooh, this is a fun game. I even have the shirt from the game, Monique, on. See, this is the shirt they gave the crowd. If you see the highlights, you'll see everybody wearing this shirt in the crowd on that one. Yeah, I love this memory too. It's a great memory of Kyle and DeMar on our team. G saying, looks like most of the assistant coaches are out. Nate, Watson, Gleason, a lot of support staff too. Rico's still in, and apparently they're figuring out what to do with Jamal. I think Jamal's still in. I mean, he's survived regime changes already before. Dude was around before Masai was even here. So I would think McGlure is going to be safe and he'll be here. I mean, in some ways, his role is very different, and it's good to have him around. He's going to be living here in Toronto anyway, and he loves being a part of the Raptors organization. I think he's safe. Like, if anybody's safe from the changes, is Rico and Jamal McGlure, as far as I'm concerned. I think that those two will still be around. But yeah, Rico's still showing all signs of being a part of the Raptors crew. And the thing about it is, I think that when we signed him last year, he's like, I don't want to up and end my life and come to Toronto for one shot deal. I want a couple of deals, a couple of years guaranteed, Masai. He's like, okay, it's you, Rico Hines. We're going to do this. So that could be very well the difference, is that maybe Rico had a separate guaranteed contract with a separate of anything that happens with the team. So in some ways he's safe. He's safe. But I really do. But yeah, all of those other three guys are gone. And so is Griffin. Griffin's gone too, I'm pretty sure. He's been interviewing for the other jobs, Detroit, Milwaukee. That Milwaukee's bringing in Mark Jackson to interview them now. We're not even interviewing him, but Milwaukee will interview him. But yeah, I think Jamal and Rico will be back for sure. Logical saying Lowry changed his workouts to last longer after the Wizards sweep. Slim Kyle was 2015-16. I think that increased the result in the playoffs. Yes, this was a big change in the offseason. That Kyle, what Kyle used to do was he'd take the summer off. He really would. He wouldn't do jack shit. Once the season was over, he'd just hang out. He wouldn't work out. And he'd show up in training camp with all his baby fat, his butt big. And he'd usually use the training camp in the early preseason, the early season, to get back in shape at the during the season. He was kind of doing what Shaq would do. Shaq would do the same damn thing. He wouldn't work out all summer, and then he'd try and get back into shape when they all come back for training camp. Well, Kyle was doing that, but he realized that it was adding to injuries and adding to like messing him up. So he realized at some point, I got to stay in shape all summer. And he started doing that. And it was a dramatic change with what happened with him, with his body when he'd come back. And him coming back in the season was so much easier for him. Fred was the same way before. He didn't work out in the summer either. He would take the summer off, but he saw these results from Kyle, and that very much changed his opinion about working out all summer long also. So this was a really good decision by Kyle Lowry for his career, that he finally decided, you know what, I need to work out all summer. And it was a dramatic difference in the outcome with what happened with the Raptors and his health outcome. Seriously, he wasn't hurt as much once he made this decision and changed his lifestyle in the offseason. Trevor saying, if that's the case, we should have given a ring to DeMar. Well, that he wasn't technically on the team that year. That's the thing. They have to be on the team during that calendar year. So it's like Valanciunas, CJ Miles, DeLon Wright. Those three guys should have gotten rings. Who else got traded away that season? I mean, Pirtle and DeMar got traded in the summer. So they don't technically fit into this category. It's really kind of, I was wondering, Valanciunas should get a ring for our championship. And they're saying, no, he doesn't get a ring because he wasn't currently on the team when we won the championship. We traded him away, even though he played half the season for us in the championship year. That's what I'm saying. If they're going to do that with Beverly and Westbrook, they can think they can do that with the Lakers now. Well, why didn't we do that for Jonas at that time and give him a ring also for his time in helping us during the season that year? See, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. That's why it's stupid. They give Russell Westbrook a ring for this season from the Lakers if they win a championship. God forbid. Yeah. Cool Cat saying, Raptor Freak, Pascal spent Mother's Day weekend at Disney in Florida with his mom and entire family, all his nieces and nephews and siblings. Scotty gave us pics with entire family gifting a new car. Yeah, I love the Scotty pics. So Pascal went to Disney with everybody. That's fantastic. That's awesome stuff. I just seen the clip of him cooking with his mom, and I figured that was at their house, but maybe it was in Florida. I don't know. That's very cool, Cool Cat. Thanks for the info. Trevor saying Joel is like the storybook Humpty Dumpty. Trevor, you're getting a dunk on this one, man. I love this. All right, Trevor's getting a dunk for comparing Joel Embiid to Humpty Dumpty. And I want to make this up, this nursery rhyme in the vein of Joel Embiid. I don't know how to make it rhyme exactly right. Maybe I'll have to figure this out. Let's see what he said. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the Sixers horses and all the Sixers men couldn't put Joelle back together again. There you go, Trevor. There you go. An inspired nursery rhyme this morning by Trevor J. Love it. I love it so much. You got a dunk for that. That's great. Cool Cat saying Fred Van Vliet showed his wife and also his mom too with Junior. So cute for Mother's Day. Yeah, I love them putting their moms on blast like this. I felt so fortunate to be able to hang out with my mother yesterday. I really don't get to see her. Like, there's maybe 20 days a year that I'm around her and hanging out with her a lot. And so seeing her on Mother's Day was so special. And then going out and seeing my grandmother yesterday, who's 100. She's going to be 101 on June the 12th. And she was just so spry and just so smiley and happy to see us. It was really cool seeing both my grandmother and my mom on Mother's Day. And there's been many Mother's Days where I have not seen my mom or anybody. Like I try and go see my grandmother on Mother's Day no matter what. But it was really nice. And I hope everybody out there, all the moms out there, the moms watching, out there had a great Mother's Day also. And I know that they can be tough for people also. And I send a kind heart and sympathy and feelings of comfort to anybody who deals with Mother's Day in a tough way also, because I know that there's a lot of people that Mother's Day isn't an easy day also. So I have a benevolent kind heart towards you in those kind of ways. So I can feel that too. I can feel that with you. Yeah. Cool Cat saying, love seeing that our rooks are still in the city. Yeah, this is a commitment. This is good. Our team may be in disarray, but we're keeping the young guys here in the fold to keep an eye on them and keep working with them. Ron Harper, Jeffrey, and Koloko, of course, being around town. And of course, Delano's around town too. So I'm going to guess that he's probably involved in everything and hanging out with these guys too. So as long as they're in town, I would hope that they're all practicing together at OVO. That would make sense. Do it. Just go down there. Troy Henry saying, Embiid to Tatum, you plan to take me out like this? Ha ha ha. The chumminess between him and Tatum at the end of the game is kind of gross to me. It's like, Embiid, listen, bro, dude, you are too like weird to me. Like, I don't get you, man. Like, you're like, this dude just killed you, man. You're like, oh, you're my friend and all this kind of stuff. That's no good, man. You should be hating Jason like right now because Jason just really messed up your career in some ways. Like, seriously, you think that Bird and Magic, when they finished their 7-game series and one of them had to lose, they were like all feeling warm and fuzzy feelings to each other? See, this is a weird thing about you. Like, in some ways, you're an oxymoron. And I'll really emphasize the word moron in that because, it's like you're this big dude, but you're a baby and you cry and whine all the time that people are hitting you. And then, like, you talk like you're a big tough guy and a competitor, but then you're like friends with a lot of people in the league and you don't have that competitive edge where you were trying to kill them or something like that. I don't know, Joel. I lose so much respect for you, bro. Like more and more in different ways. And the biggest thing that I lost respect for you yesterday was your press conference after the game. Like seriously, you are not taking any accountability for yourself. And in some ways, that's the reason why the Sixers will go nowhere with you because you have no like sense of wherewithal to understand what's happening outside your ego, that your ego really kind of rules how you see everything and you are way out of touch with reality. Let's just put it that way at this point, Joel. If you were saying what you said after the game and you think that that's true, you are crazy. You are crazy to throw everybody else under the bus. Tyrese Maxey played great. Tobias Harris showed up. You and Harden did not. It's on you two guys. And you're going to say that you two can't do it all? Oh my gosh. I don't know what you're watching. I wonder about your intelligence is what I'm saying right now. Elijah's saying, I want Fred to stay, but the way the fans disrespected him, part of me hopes he leaves and busts our ass. Our fans don't know shit. Man, I can feel what Elijah Hutchins is saying here. And thanks for being here, 9:30 every morning. I know I've seen you before, and I remember you popping in before. You know what? Listen, I want him to stay too. I don't like the way he's been disrespected all year, but also there are some signs that he's part of the problem. Like I'm starting to maybe believe that this may be true to a degree. Some of the stuff, not all the stuff that Pensair was saying, not everything, but there's definitely some sort of issue with Fred right now. And I don't know. I want to just see before I make a strong opinion on what happens with Fred. I just want to see what happens with him, whether he is coming back or not, or he is moving on. And then we'll go from there. Now, I'm going to respect him and love him no matter what he decides. It's just that, I may be disappointed if certain things go a certain way right now. And it's really looking like it may. So I don't want him to come back and burn us. No, I don't. I want us to use everything we know about his weaknesses against him when we play him in the future. I'm still first and foremost a Raptors fan. And even if we want toxic fans to get punished by him, I don't want us to get hurt as a team because the Raptors are number one in my book. And even if Fred's wearing a Suns jersey next year and he's trying to burn us, nah, I'm not going to be rooting for him to do that. No, I'm not. I'll love and respect him, but I'm not going to want him to kill us just to get back at bad Raptor fans. No. Cowboys saying, good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. I'm worried about a damn thing, trades or not. The Raptors will be better this year. Let's go. Gotta go, everyone. Enjoy your day. Thanks, Cowboy. Thanks for jumping in here. Ta-da! He's out there working hard, doing things to help the common man on the street. That's what Bradley's doing, cleaning gutters and moving big things, painting, cleaning your windows, all kinds of different things. If you need something done in the 416, Tada is the company to call. They're in the phone book. They can do odd jobs for you, any kind of odd job. They're crazy. They'll get up on your roof. That's right. Ta-da, I'm Bradley. We love you, Bradley, and be safe in what you're doing today. So he's saying don't be worried about what's going to happen. Trust in Messiah, and everything's going to clear up and be the way it's supposed to be for the Raptors next season. And I'm with Bradley on this. I really do feel like this is an opportunity. Change is an opportunity. Dysfunction and problems are an opportunity to grow and fix and do things to get in a better place. And that's what this summer is going to be all about, opportunities. So you go get those opportunities, Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri. I'll be very excited to see what you come up with this summer because you guys are really good at what you do. And I totally believe in you guys. You're going to get a fantastic coach. You're going to make a big, huge splash deal. I kept telling people at the WNBA game, I really do believe that this summer will be a lot like the summer of 2018. We're going to switch our coach, and we're going to make a big splash by landing a superstar player, just like Kawhi Leonard. So let's get ready and get strapped in to see what's going to happen. I get my popcorn. I'm ready to watch. I want to see what happens. G saying Embiid slowed them down. Bad matchup against the Celtics. Should have run through Harden and Maxey. Maxey's speed was needed more. Exactly. This is what I'm saying about guys like Jokic and Embiid. If they get too tired, they really are a detriment to your team. You can't keep them out there. In fact, they can't average 40 minutes a game in the playoffs. You've got to keep them more around 30 minutes. So you really have to pick and choose your shifts with them out there. But then if you get into these elimination games, you're going to be like, what it could have, should I should have played Embiid 40 minutes. Well, you got to ride that luck and how it goes. Well, you see what happens. He runs out of gas. He slows you down. He hurts your team. The MVP should not be hurting your team like that. I'm sorry. Your MVP should be taking you home to win. And your MVP is huffing and puffing and lagging behind coming up and down the court. Well, he is part of the reason why you lost. And not the most valuable player, most detrimental player in some ways. Mike's saying, I like been saying, we're in a great place versus where, like I've been saying, we're in a great place where versus where these other teams are. We have the assets and younger guys ready to take over when the older teams fade. Well, that's one of the things. Our team is built with flexibility in different ways with good assets, draft picks, leeway to move in different directions very quickly to kind of go and acquire somebody huge who may be a big money number that we have the ability to kind of move in those kind of directions. Now, teams like Phoenix, they may be a little hamstrung after acquiring somebody like Kevin Durant. They may not have as much maneuverability in certain ways. And that's the difference. And I think this is what Mike means is that we are set up in a certain way where we can go in different directions real easy, where it may be limited the kind of directions that particular franchises like maybe Milwaukee and Phoenix can do to try and retool and fix things from this season. So, yeah, I like that aspect about how we build our team. In some ways, it makes it ambiguous and kind of not clear, but also at the same time, it's a real place of freedom. And I like that about it. Monique saying Morant should be banned for life from the NBA. Holy crap. That's a very hard line stance Monique has taken on the Ja Morant incident this weekend. I mean, I'm not going to say that, but it is sounding like Monique. I'm going to say this. It sounded like they're going to suspend him for half of the season already, just for that flashing that gun on Instagram. that he may not be playing like 40 games next season. And you know what that means? That immediately takes him out of all postseason awards consideration. You get suspended for half the season, 40 games. You're not making it 65 games, and you ain't getting no All NBA. You ain't getting none of this. In some ways, is that the carrot they're putting in front of him to say, you know what, you better get your act together because you're not going to get more money, and your career is going to suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer. And that's what I'm saying. Now, some of the other NBA players are saying, you need to tell the people in your crew, Ja, to stop filming you without your consent and putting you on Instagram and getting you in trouble like this. And somebody said, I wouldn't even have this person in your crew anymore if they film you while you're just out hanging out. Don't do this kind of stuff. That's kind of smart. But maybe you shouldn't even been doing that in the first place, waving a gun around recklessly in a car full of people. Yeah, that's not a good look. It's just not a good look. Some people are trying to defend him. Some people are trying to say, but it's the Second Amendment and saying all this stuff. No, it's irresponsible gun ownership. It's irresponsible role modelship. And it's irresponsible as somebody who's in the NBA, who is somebody who's a public figure. That's just all irresponsible what Ja is doing. I wouldn't go as far as Monique, though, but man, maybe she should be the commissioner of the NBA. She probably cleaned that league up real quick with her hard justice. Yeah, no, Commissioner Lawrence is saying you're out, Morant. I'm sorry, you're done. There's no more strikes for you, bro. Commissioner Morant has said in its final. She said you're done. No more. You're done. Your career's over. I'm sorry. She cleaned things up real quick. Get rid of all the half-ass jabronis in the NBA and say, oh, you're not trying. You're not a real one. Joel Embiid, you're out for life. Bam. You have to go play in the Basketball Africa League now. Yeah, you're not in our league anymore. You know, she could be like that. I like that. Honestly, let's start a campaign. Monique Lawrence for Monique Lawrence for NBA commissioner. I'm all about that. I'm all about that. Mike saying Vince did change the landscape of the league with a lot of Canadian talent now really having a strong effect on teams winning and losing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're talking about greatness, Vince Carter is great. And he's not even one of my favorite Raptors. He's somebody that I don't really champion or celebrate as much as other Raptor fans do, but I know the importance of him. And I know that he was one of the 75 greatest players in the NBA's history. He just is. I'm sorry. What he did in Oakland in that dunk competition was great in itself and did so much for the game globally. And that is greatness. Joel Embiid is not greatness. I'm sorry. You can be that big and be that overpowering and all this stuff, but if you're not being great and with all your skills like that, well, I can't say that's great, is what I'm saying. David Saborn's in here to pile on Joel. One of the biggest Joel Embiid haters is loving it today. He feels so good. I'm sure that David's been Katrina in the waves, walking on sunshine. Whoa, you know, it's nice outside. And like David's like, Joel Embiid. He's just laughing at himself today. I'm sure he is. He is hopeless. He does seem like he's hopeless. I mean, the thing that signals that he's hopeless is that that press conference after the game. That's what shows he's hopeless. Up here, he's hopeless. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying this morning. Really awesome to see so many names on a Monday morning or a Monday memory. Yeah, Monday memory. All right, let's see. Where was David's comment? I'm after David here. I'm gonna make sure I read every single one of them. We're at an hour and a half, so maybe we'll slow down on the comments so I can finish up in 2 hours. Okay. Whoa, that jumped way too far. That's what happened. Okay, cool guy saying WNBA crowd was fantastic, but the prices for the game was cheap compared to current Raptors prices. You know, that's the thing. I know paying $40 for sitting where I was really happy with that. And because the WNBA season is shortened, like they don't play a whole lot of games. I think they play like 30 to 40 games. That means there's only like 20 home games or something like that. It's very similar to the G League schedule, I guess. I could be a season ticket holder. I was like, I could maybe like get a ticket and be a season ticket holder for the WNBA, and it would be affordable. So I'm kind of looking into that. If we get this team, we have an expansion team next in the next couple summers, that may be something that I like to do. I also kind of like the idea of going to games in the summer. I don't know why. And have this whole idea of like walking to the arena and walking back because it was so nice the other day when I walked after the game. Just the air being warm out, and like summer is like not normally basketball because the NBA season is usually during the winter, and having the WNBA during the summer may make it fun to like not take anything to the game, but just walk to the game and walk back. So yeah, I'm interested in maybe being a season ticket holder because the prices are affordable. And this may be very good for a lot of people that can't necessarily afford to go to the Raptors games all the time. Well, the WNBA may be a great alternative for some people, and just as fun and that same kind of environment. I love it. Monique is saying, as I said in my Instagram story, Pascal is still the best Cameroonian in the NBA. Yeah, I saw that Monique posted this last night. It's fantastic. She's saying the best Cameroonian in the NBA is Pascal Siakam. It is not Joel Embiid. I think I can get behind this to a degree. I think that he's greater than him in some ways. He's achieved way more as second banana on a championship team. Pascal's accolades, they're more well deserved in some ways to me, the All NBAs and the All Stars. So, yeah, I can get behind this, Monique. Cool Cat saying the diehard fans are priced out of the arena, those who are excited and very vocal about supporting the team. Well, I think in some ways, when you get newer fans, they just need to be educated on how they're supposed to root. And maybe some people are doing the whole prestige thing, like, oh, I go to the Raptors game, but they don't really care. They're just there to be seen, or it's a status thing to sit so close to the court. There's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. But I think that overall we are still very strong. I don't want to describe us as waning or not being as good a crowd as we used to be, because we can be that good of a crowd. In some ways, as the players said it this year, it's like we have to bring it out in the crowd. If we don't play well enough or good enough, well, the crowd's not going to get up and get crazy. And that's part of the problem right now, is that the players have had kind of half-assed effort this year, and they didn't really give us that many opportunities to get crazy and go like that. But if the opportunities are there, I'll bet you our crowd can get really crazy real quick. There were moments where that happened this year, where we got real crazy. Think about that game against Milwaukee where we forced overtime. That's one of them. The crowd got really crazy at that time. So I don't know. I don't want to characterize it as like too much like what you guys are saying. I think that the opportunities for the real ones and the people to be there are still there. Like I get on the lower bowl for Raptor games still all the time, and somehow, some way. So it's true. There are more casuals there that maybe aren't really like real diehard Raptor fans like us. But for the most part, we're still there when it matters. Like when the games are really big, we get there and we get loud and we make it the way it used to be with DeMar and Kyle in our arena. So I don't necessarily agree that this is totally. I mean, I know the prices have gone up and people have been priced out. That's very true. But I don't know if it's exactly as bad as it seems. I think that our team hasn't performed to the level that it used to in the recent year, this past year, and that's made us kind of taint our memory on that a little bit. Let's see. Infamous is saying there's no script. Watching the game, Celtics were hitting shots. Everyone in the starting lineup is a three level scorer. Now, all right, I'll give you that for yesterday. But you know where they did the really screwed up thing is they did the hit job to them in Philadelphia on the game before. Adrian Wojnarowski coming out with a tweet before the game yesterday saying that there were a bunch of missed calls in game 6 that went against the Sixers. That there's very much evidence that's showing that the refs favored the Celtics in game 6 in Philadelphia and helped hold their hand to get to that victory. That is what I'm talking about. That is, it's not necessarily right where you see it. They just happen to have it. Okay, this game's a blowout. There's no way they're winning, and that all looks like that. But that's not where the things happen. The things happen with game 6. That they knew they had to stop Philly from closing out the series against Boston on their home court by, a little bit of manipulative things. And Adrian Wojnarowski, bombing before the game that there were a bunch of missed calls that went a disadvantage against the Sixers in a close game that the Sixers lost in the last quarter where they had been winning the whole game. So it only takes a little bit of ref manipulation around the third quarter, fourth quarter to swing the tide of things and help the Celtics and prop them up and win a game that they would get eliminated in. And then there wouldn't be no game 7 in Boston. So that's where they did it. They did it in game 6. It's not yesterday, infamous. They did it in game 6. They did the ref hit job, and that was enough to give that series to Boston in the situation. G saying a draft prospect, when asked what team he wants to play with, said Toronto, OVO, forget his name. Apparently he is a late first-round pick. Nice to see. See, that's what I'm saying. We do have some swagger to us. We have a culture to our team. There are a lot of things attractive about Toronto. It's a fun city. It's very, very multicultural. We got Drake. You get the OVO stuff. You get the style and the swag of the OVO. That's why they put the OVO in there when you say, I want to go to Toronto, OVO, October's very own. That is part of it. That is part of the reason why Drake has been so good for Toronto. Is seriously, some of these young kids grew up listening to Drake, and Drake is like Michael Jackson to them. So it's like we have Michael Jackson as part of our team, as one of our global ambassadors. That is a huge thing, and that does draw people here. Not to mention the legacy of Vince Carter, the legacy of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, and then now it's very attractive for people to want to come and play with Scotty. Trust me, that there's certain players on our team right now that people will be like, I'd love to go play with Scotty Barnes, you know? So that I love hearing that too. And I saw that, I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome that we're seeing this kind of phenomenon for Toronto, that people very much would like to come here. And that's not the first person. There's been a lot of them that have been like that. It's like, I choose Toronto. Justin Champagny chose us. Remember, there's a lot of people that choose us. Ron Harper chose us. He could have chose a lot of different teams. He was undrafted. He chose the Raptors because him and his dad and his mom knew the Raptors would develop him and give him a really good shot to make the league and be a really good player in the league, undrafted. So, this is an attractive place to play, and that's showing that. That's proof right there. This is a young player coming in. They saying specifically, I want to play for Toronto. That's awesome. That's really, really good. Mike's saying, Mo, facts. Yeah. Let's make her the commissioner. She should be Adam Silver's job. I want Monique Lawrence as the NBA commissioner next. Yeah. Cool Cat saying, I signed up for the fantasy league. Hopefully I can get a few of my favorite players. Awesome, Cool Cat. Yeah, and maybe I know you weren't as active in the other one. Maybe this interface, and because it's WNBA, you'll get more engaged and be more into it. Maybe the ESPN website will be a little bit more enticing or easier for you to use because you're already there or something. I don't know. But whatever it is, just have fun and play as much as you want. There's no pressure. But this is going to be a little bit of a different format than the one we just did. This is going to be head to head versus not being rotisserie, which is like everybody's just collecting stats. This is going to be like Cool Cat versus Raptors Freak this week. And our teams will go just against each other, and we'll have a record from how we do. And basically, that's how the season is going to work with the WNBA. I'm glad you signed up. And other people, please sign up. It'd be awesome. Cool Cat saying, Scotty is a great young man. He's competitive and hates losing. I hated losing in sports too. I would get mad and cry. So understand the passion. Then you get back on the grind again. No grudges. Yeah. I just want him to have his heart in the right places. I don't want any conflict with him in any of the Raptors. It's just super, super important that Scotty Barnes gets along with our team, and that the team in some ways is around him and works with him. Now, I don't want to believe any of this noise about Fred, but if there is any truth to them not getting along and not really working well together this whole season, that I poo-pooed and I said, no, this isn't true, because I'm a person that's trying to paint a rosy picture for the team no matter what. Well, people need to change, and we need people that are going to work with Scott, and that it's a lot more easier for cohesion and no rift or any weird kind of like versus thing going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about, and it's kind of just screwing things up on the down low and nobody knows about. I don't want any of that this year. You need to figure this out. And Scott, you can't have any kind of pattern of these kind of things over and over again with different people. You don't want to be that kind of player. I don't think you are. For some reason, I don't know. It's just not clear where the dysfunction exactly emanated from with the Toronto Raptors last year. And there's a lot of people that are kind of suspects. And I have to say, the truth is that, Scotty's on that suspect list. Fred's on that list. Pascal's on that list. Nate Bjorngren, Earl Watson, all these guys that were around this team that is kind of suspicious whether they were getting along or not. Now, the one thing that was Scotty that really I don't like, that looked like he was maybe part of the problem, was the whole thing with Thad. That looked really bad. And it looked like Scotty was not listening to Thaddeus. And that's not the way to be. Seriously, Thaddeus, 17 years in the league. And that whole incident, some people took it in the wrong way. The younger people were saying, oh, that old head shouldn't be yelling at him like that. And that's not the way to be. Seriously, their reaction is a symptom of the wrong mentality with the young people. He's an old vet. He knows what he's talking about. And if he's really emphatically and emotionally saying something to Scotty and he's just disregarding him and kind of waving him off, that's not good. And that behavior, when I saw that, observing that, That's not good because Thaddeus knows what he's talking about. He very much does. And I'm just going to carte blank back up Thad in those kind of situations because he has a longer track record being a good pro, being around the NBA, understanding how NBA teams function and should be getting along. And if he's coming down on Scotty, he had a good reason to come down on him. So that's the one incident that makes me worry that Scott is part of the problem. Is that he really was dismissive of Thaddeus and kind of disrespectful of the veteran, the person who's had the years in the league and played for many teams. And that's the thing that made me kind of like, what the fuck, Scott? Just listen to Thad and shut up. Seriously, don't backtalk him. Just listen to him and take his advice. Listen to him at least, whether you take his advice. Yeah, I saw that incident. I'm like, I hope Scotty's not the guy who's the problem on our team. I really don't hope. I hope he's not him. Monique saying Kyle's been through a lot with his family. I would be happy to, Lex, but of course, Raptors legend first. She'd be happy to be the NBA commissioner. That'd be amazing if Monique was the NBA commissioner. It'd be awesome. So I don't even know what Kyle's been through with his family. I know that he had the issues last season. He was missing games for personal reasons. I just hope everything worked out and everything's fine. Marie Holloway, I hope that you're just great. Mr. Kyle's mom. I just hope that everything is okay with you. Mike is saying players today don't feel ownership of the sport's direction and are fine with "I'm not a role model" attitude, and it's just about me. There's a couple of different things that are at play here. I mean, it's been evolving in this direction for a while, and it hasn't been good. It started really with around Iverson era in the early 2000s, and it's gotten out of hand. Like the problem is that the old heads at this point are the first generation of knuckleheads that didn't really care about the game in the right way. So now they're the vets, like James Harden. He's still kind of a knucklehead in that kind of vein. And we see in what happened yesterday that it's getting passed down to like bad old vets that were already like the first generation of kind of crappy pros are now passing it down to an even more like level of crappy pro that really doesn't take things seriously. So in some ways, even the veteran leadership that's trying to teach the young players is not even the same quality of veteran leadership from like 20 years ago when Allen Iverson was a rookie. His veteran leadership was way better in passing. So the baton passed to them, got passed, but they kind of didn't do anything with it. And now the baton is not getting passed to the next young generation. That's the problem. We got the old generations, the first casual, shitty generation, teaching the very shitty, even more shitty generation that's coming up now. I mean, I'm being very general. I'm not pointing out any specific names, but this is true. As a class and as a cohort, the caliber of players, as far as their drive and dedication to sport, is the worst it's ever been in the history of the NBA. And it's reflected in the product and the style of play and how good the quality of the games are. It's horrible. It's honestly horrible. And I agree with Rudy Gay. He doesn't like the way this game is evolving and changing. He knows, he's been around, he's seen it, and he's seen how it used to be, and it was way better before. Cool Cat saying CBA will force us to move players that we drafted and develop, will hurt us big time. Players will be moved around a lot. No advantage to developing your players anymore. Will be more of a job of business. That sucks. That really, really sucks because that doesn't make the league any better. The league was better when we had established cores. Teams had identities year in, year out. You had the same guys over and over again. People love those kind of teams from the 80s. You keep the Celtics franchise core together. You keep the Pistons core together. You keep the Bulls core together. You keep the Trailblazers core together. That is all out the window. And this is going to make the league suffer for quality. It's just like it places of business. You go to a Subway restaurant, and they have such high turnover because they don't value their people. They don't value their personnel. I don't care. You fired. Okay, I don't care. I'm quitting. And you just have different people coming in over and over again. It's hard to really connect and get together good synergy and nucleuses. So the way that the play on the court is going to look disjointed and not connected, and this quality of the game is going to suffer. So I don't know if they thought about this and these kind of rules, that you want the game to look worse and uglier and stupider and more people to turn the TV off. Well, that sounds like what you're going to generate with this kind of movement and not the ability to keep cores together and actually develop people all together over time. The NBA, you're really going in the shitter. Pro wrestling has gone into the shitter over the last 20 years, but now I'm starting to realize the NBA has been on a similar path as pro wrestling. And then it's just garbage at this point. In some ways, the NBA is such garbage right now. If I wasn't a Raptors fan so diehard, I probably wouldn't watch it anymore. I'm serious. Like if I wasn't so passionately invested in the Raptors, I may like be like the NBA is garbage. I don't want to watch it anymore. I can understand where people that aren't that passionate NBA fans are not watching it anymore. And I know Adam Silver is cocky. He's like, oh, well, we have the highest numbers of attendance and viewership ever in the history of the NBA right now. Yeah, but it's hollow and it's not good quality. And you're in danger of losing a lot of people too. Like you have a couple more Ja Morants, you have a couple more like really awful playoff games like we've had recently. Yeah, people aren't going to want to watch anymore. More and more people will be like, yeah, the NBA is garbage. I've heard that sentiment for a while. And I've been like, I don't want to listen to that. But I'm starting to believe these people that think that the NBA is a joke and that it's not a very good league or a good product. That's what I'm feeling like. It's maybe reflective of just our society. Well, people are still doing it, but the quality is so shitty and they don't care. They don't care. People don't care about quality in anything anymore. It's all about just making money and being cheap. And now, the quality suffers. The product suffers. The games look stupid. The league doesn't look professional. There's a lot of turnovers. People miss free throws and they lose games like we did. There's like the level of professionalism in the NBA is gone. There's like not very good professionalism, whether it's Ja Morant, whether it's the players missing free throws, whether it's guys just like not getting on the same page with each other and acting professional among each other. There's all kinds of different problems with professionalism in the NBA right now. They don't even know what the meaning of the word pro does. A lot of these young players don't even understand what meaning it means to be a professional. They just come in and they're acting amateurish with their attitudes and the way they are. Let's see. Trevor's saying that's why we need to trust the front office and just jury. You have great insight. You know the chip was going to fall. That's why he didn't rush. Yeah, Ujiri. You got to trust the front office and Ujiri. And he has great insight, and we know that we knew the chip was going to fall, and that's why we didn't rush. Yeah, we'll see how the summer develops. More and more time, maybe some more coaches available, maybe some players available. We'll have to see. Mike's saying the teams are way different from the bubble. Lowry on the Heat, Kemba on the Celtics, no Horford, etc. Plus the Lakers are completely different, and the Nuggets are different than they were. The Nuggets may be the most similar because they have a couple of those core guys still, Jokic and Jamal. But you're right. Like a lot of that's not the same Miami Heat team. Jimmy wasn't on that team, was he? Or was he? He was on that team. That was his first year in Miami, actually. So yeah, I know it's totally different. Anybody's making those kind of comparisons, you're stupid. Just stop. It's not like the bubble was exciting or fun anyway. I don't know why they want to replicate that. Maybe just for Laker fans. They're just trying to make things happy for Laker fans. I don't know. Cool Cat saying Raptors have some staff that are not tied to a coaching staff. They're tied to the organization. Hence, we can have our rookies in town still working out. Yeah, Jim Sand's another one. Like he's very valuable, and he's been with our team at different times, like since like 2003. So in some ways, he may be another one that is like exempt from getting fired and all this that we're going to keep because he's more organizational, helpful coach for this kind of stuff that Cool Cat's talking about right now. So there's three coaches that I hope for sure we have back. It's Rico Hines, Jamal McGlure, and Jim Sand. And I think that that's pretty likely that those guys are kind of outside. Their responsibilities are outside of kind of Nick Nurse's coaching regime. And they were kind of doing their own jobs in different ways. Like we know that Rico's very much personal coach for Pascal. And that may be part of the reason why he's very safe. Jamal, like I said, he's a community ambassador, and he's been around the team since Colangelo was the GM. So he's probably pretty safe. And then Jim Sand is like he's the kind of coach that kind of just runs things and that helps guys with practice workouts when nobody's around. And he's very valuable for that. And I think that he loves being in Toronto, and there's no reason to fire him. So I think that he's probably safe too. So we'll have to see. Elijah's saying Russ, damn sure needs a ring. He played 6 months of the year of his level the whole time there, took his hate and shut the fuck up about it. That's what we want out of players. He also brought them big pieces, but won't hold the same value. I don't agree with this. I just don't. I think that if you get traded away and you're not currently on the team in the playoffs when they get there, that doesn't count. You could be cut before the season, the postseason, but you're still on the roster, like a Jeffrey Doughton Jr. who didn't get converted, and you could get a ring then. But if you are traded for another piece, like Russell got traded for pieces like Vanderbilt, then you can't give the ring to both of the pieces. It's like giving the ring to Gasol and Jonas. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. So it's like you can't. I don't agree with this. Even if Russell went through bullshit in the Lakers and the Laker Nation was awful to him, he doesn't earn this ring. He's not a part of the championship part of the team. In fact, they probably wouldn't. Trading him is probably helping them get this. If they, he doesn't deserve any recognition for this. If they get somewhere with this, I have to disagree with this, Elijah. And I mean, I understand your reasoning. He got put through all that crap. He needs to get something for it. No, I don't agree with that because he doesn't have a ring yet. And in some ways, if he gets a ring for this, that's really hollow way to get a ring. It's really, really hollow, like cheap way. I wouldn't be happy. I would be kind of person like and maybe this is indicative of what I was just talking about. These guys are lazy and they just want easy route. You just get a ring for what you did this year, Russell. Seriously? I think a player like Jordan back in the day would be like, no, this isn't earning this. I do not want a ring for this situation. That this isn't the right way to earn this. This is a joke. I think anybody with any kind of like honor or like respect for themselves wouldn't accept a ring like this. But Russell will go and do it. Okay, that says a lot about his character. In some ways, that's how I look at it too. Is like anybody who's a real competitor, anybody who takes things seriously would be like, I don't deserve this ring. I can't accept it. But easy people that are like wanting to coast in life and have easy things come to them, just easy. Okay, they will take that ring. So that does say a lot about Russell Westbrook's character. If he does accept the ring from the Lakers, if they do win the championship this year, I hope to God it doesn't happen. Oh my God, I hope so much. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, oh, the Pascal cooking pic was from Thanksgiving. He's private, so he doesn't show his current location of his family. I saw the Disney trip on hang on his siblings Instagram. Oh, okay. All right, cool. See, Cool Cat is like a real super fan of Pascal, so she's following his siblings. I'm not even doing that, so I wouldn't have known this. Well, I'm appreciating that we do have a wide net in our Raptor Freak family and that we're catching all the information and stuff. Okay, good info, good intel. It's like Cool Cat is a Pascal expert. She really is. And okay, so I think I do kind of remember like the Thanksgiving stuff from last year. I just forgot about it. Okay, they're in Disney. That's awesome. That's awesome. No matter what, I just want Pascal to be happy and him celebrating his mom. Like I said, I know he celebrates her every single day because he's around her a lot. He's around her a lot. Leslie's saying signing bonus. Okay, play at least 60 games, guaranteed paycheck. Cool. Make the playoffs, bonus money, all stars, all team, all finals money. Players that do none of this don't deserve extra bags. Yeah. And even then, like, I don't know if the incentives need to be changed a little bit. Some guys are playing very selfishly for that. In fact, that was something we were worried about with our team this year is that the money and the goals of individual players was messing up the team chemistry and how we're supposed to play. Incentives are weird. Like this whole thing about all NBA gets you a bigger bag and stuff like that. I get that kind of incentive system, but in some ways it's detrimental to the league also. Cool Cat saying, I agree with Monique on Ja. He was warned and given a lighter suspension on hopes that he understands the gravity. It is invited gun violence to Ja, his team, other NBA players, kids, etc. It's a total disregard for the Memphis Grizzlies. It's very disrespectful to that team. It's like he doesn't care about what happens with him and that team. And in some ways, that's very disheartening. They did give him another chance. He supposedly went to this 35-hour rehab in Florida to kind of learn that it's not good to be a cosplay gangster. And he still hasn't learned it. He still wants to play cosplay. Why can't you be a cosplay medieval fair person or something? Go dress up like a wizard and go down to drink some mead with some lasses and Lederhosen or something like that. Why don't you cosplay that way, John Morant, instead of getting your guns out and trying to act like you're a drill ops video or some shit? It's so dumb. It is so, so dumb. If you lose your career because of this, and a lot of people are saying this today, you're an idiot. Seriously, you are an idiot. Like, I don't think there's anybody out there supporting you at this point because they see how you're throwing everything away and how unserious and how stupid you are. Like, seriously, your intelligence is very low, John Morant. Very, very low intelligence to step in it once again, just like this. It's really, really bad, really, really bad. And it is such a bad message in today's society. And people are getting gunned down every single day. And you're going to be all goofy and cavalier with that. Dude, those things kill people every day. It's not a toy. It's not something to be like a status symbol or like waving around or like I'm hard or anything. I don't think you're any harder because you're waving a gun around in your car. I really don't. In fact, I think you're kind of a pussy because you have to wave a gun around all the time. Real men don't need no gun to defend themselves. Are you scared? You don't even have ops. That's the thing I don't understand. Who's against you? Who's after you? Nobody's after you, man. So why you got to be in the ops life? You're more likely to lure somebody after you. You know that hip hop stars get shot in their front porch all the time because they want to be all about that life. They want to dare people to come smoke them out. Well, they do. They come to their house and they shoot them. Some people want to make names for themselves. They say, "Oh, I went and shot this so and so hip hop artist on their front porch." Oh, okay, you're hard, man. You're putting yourself in a big target in that way for any kind of anonymous gangbanger guy who wants to make a name for himself. Well, I shot John Morant. You seriously, you don't even realize this. You want to go into that arena and live that life? You want that smoke? You might just get that smoke, and it may be a tragedy, just like John Lennon and Mark David Chapman in the street. You could have a very crazy person come up to you and want to make a name for themselves and say, I shot John Morant. Yeah. Yeah, that's really dumb. It's so dumb in all kinds of different ways. And the funny thing is, I see the pictures of him when he was younger with the glasses and being nerdy. You don't come from that life, bro. Seriously, you're a cosplayer. You don't come from that life. Well, I don't know who you're trying to prove you're real hard or something like that. Nobody believes you. We know your truth. We know where you come from, and we know you're not really that life. So you just play acting. And you don't really need to do that. It doesn't serve you in any kind of way. Who are you trying to impress? Who is that for? Do you have some sort of niche audience that loves that kind of shit from you? Oh, yeah, he's a gangster. He's so cool with his gun. Well, they may be very few people. And you may be needing to listen to the majority of people, especially the people like your teammates, your family. Well, don't listen to your family. Listen to your teammates, listen to your organization, listen to the NBA, listen to your endorsement deals like the Nike people as they take your money away from you as you become more and more of a dumpster fire. Mike's saying Ron Artest, him a whole season could make the impact felt. What are you talking about? Like suspending him for that whole season? Yeah, you may suspend John Morant for a whole season. You have to see. Evelyn's here, Granny Evelyn. Hello. I'm back from my busy schedule. I'm sending love to you, my Raptor Freak family. Love to you. A Serge Ibaka heart to you, Granny Evelyn. And say hello to baby Candace from me. G's saying Ja went from I am fine in the West to I am fined in the West. All right, you wanted a dunk, didn't you, G? You wanted a dunk and you got one. This is the first dunk for G. I've never seen G on the list yet. G, you got your first dunk because that's a funny wordplay. I like that. I'm fine in the West to I am fined in the West. Infamous is saying no one should be surprised by what happened to Philly. They have the three amigos of choking, Doc and Embiid and Harden / Soften. All right, Infamous, you're getting another dunk because you just called Harden Soften. And I like that. People are getting dunks today. I mean, Philly went out yesterday. Of course, we're going to get some dunks. Okay. Oh, talking about Philly. Yikes. We want to be very, very humanistic to let me cook real quick. Philadelphia fan. All right. We see all the sad emoticons. Oh, man, I'm feeling you, man, right now. Let me cook. I am. Hey, freaks. I took off of work today, shaking my head. Sad day. I needed the MVP to show out for game 7. He choked. Embiid and Harden combined for 24 points. It's going to be a long off season. Ah, man, I feel for you, man. Honestly, even with all the animosity between Philadelphia and Toronto from last season's playoffs, we found a bond between you guys just from like the Raptors watch-alongs with games and talking to you all year. I really do feel for you. I really wanted you to win yesterday. And I hate how this all went down. I did not want Joel to be this unsuccessful like some of the other people in this chat. I did want y'all to really beat Boston. And I feel for you, man. That's all right, man. We're not going to, I know we've been kind of a little bit like gleeful and some of the people here are happy about what happened, but I'm not one of them. I really did want y'all to win, but we do have to react to everything. And in some ways, I want to be humanistic towards you, man. I feel you. I feel you in some ways. That sucks that you've been let down by these guys at this time. I mean, I know there's going to be a very interesting offseason for you guys, just like us. So we'll have to see how it all goes and see what happens. Do you think Doc Rivers is going to get fired? It's probably likely. Let's see. Mike's saying, not gonna lie, people saying a lot of things about the new CBA, but when asked how, they can't really explain it. I've heard people say a lot of different things about the new CBA. I don't know if the raw language is out. All right, well, you keep on track of it, and we'll see how it goes in the developments. They're going to be telling us what rules we can and cannot do. I know Blake Murphy, Samson Folk, and you, Mike, are very good at this kind of stuff, and I'll be looking to you three guys for teaching me more about the CBA as time goes on. Hopefully, it doesn't hamstring us, and we are able to do things like have two guys on Supermax and keep most of our good guys that we want to keep together here for sure. I don't want to see a shuffle up and deal league where everybody's moving around all the time constantly. I really do think the NBA is stupid for not allowing teams to put roots down on certain players and have collective kind of groups over years. That was one of the most attractive things about the old NBA that we are lacking today. The movement of the NBA is not good for the NBA in some ways. I know it's good for the players and their money and stuff like that, but it's not necessarily good for the product of the league and the team play. Let's just put it that way. Cool Cat saying Nick Nurse was let go because of not playing to develop players. That is our marketing strategy to get players. He deviated from one main pillars of Raptors organization. And then he failed at doing the other one. If he's going to try and make us win, well, you got to make us win or you got to develop. You can't do neither. You got to do at least one of them. Let's see. Cool Cat saying proof. Lots of young players want to come to the Raptors to start their career. Yeah, well, I think that has more to do with our organization and things. I don't know if Nick Nurse was actually the attractive thing about people coming here, especially with the way these people saw he treated Malachi Flynn. Some people would be like, I don't want to go to Toronto if I'm a young player because he's not going to play us. Monique is saying, W stream, Lex, all around. Keep at it, popping out content. Now you know I do it. Go Raptors, always patient. Everyone have good times. Yeah, you go, Monique. I'll be back tomorrow for Tuesday trivia. I haven't written it up. I'm not totally sure what the subject's going to be. I think I kind of know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll piggyback from today and do something from today. All right, I think I will. We'll figure it out. I'll have questions tomorrow. And remember, we're doing reverse trivia. If you guys have questions for me and you can stump me with any kind of specific Raptors trivia questions, you'll get 100 extra points added to your Raptor Freak trivia score. So reverse trivia in effect tomorrow, along with the regular old Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia. I'll have it all ready for you tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Tuesday trivia. And also tomorrow, the draft lottery. We'll find out where the Raptors are going to draft in the first round. See if we can move up from 13 and get a little higher. Maybe we do get a very good draft pick. Who knows? We'll find out tomorrow, reacting to it on Wednesday. All right, let's see what else y'all are saying. Mike's saying that's the facts. The development culture is to attract the right guys ready to work and learn. If a player has the right mindset, we're a place they see as a great place. And Kawhi's mistake does play. Yeah, I was using Ron Artest as a verb. So Ron Artest him, W stream. Thanks, Mike. And on that note, thanks, everybody. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And let's go Raptors.